This isn't just another podcast. We're crushing the taboos and we're rewriting the rules. It's the space where we normalize women becoming wealthy. If you're done playing small and ready to become the CEO of your life and the architect of your future, then my girl, you're in the right room. Welcome to your wealthy era. Welcome to the Wellthy CEO podcast.
Today's episode is one where you take out your notepad and you take notes, because this is for every ambitious woman and you need to hear this. Revenue is not the same thing as wealth, and too many women are building businesses that look successful on paper but aren't actually profitable. Vanessa Bowen is a CPA, master NLP mindset coach, and the founder of Wellthy Co., where she combines high-level financial strategy with powerful mindset work to help women shift from chasing revenue milestones to building true sustainable wealth. This episode is all about the economical impact, power, and unapologetic mindset shift leadership. You're going to love this episode. Let's dive in. Today, I am so excited to have in studio Vanessa. You are here on the Wellthy CEO podcast. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me. So excited to be here.
I am so excited to have this conversation with you because there are so many women in business that their businesses look successful, but if you actually saw behind the scenes on paper or their lack of understanding of numbers, it's not as it looks.
Yeah.
And we're going to dive into it, like profitability, power,
yes,
economical impact, like all of the good stuff. And you have such an interesting background because you've come from corporate finance and now you're also a coach, an NLP coach. We're going to talk about that too. Some people might be like, what is that? And you're not somebody that just understands the numbers, but you also understand the psychology behind why maybe women more than men tend to avoid this topic in general.
Yes.
So let's dive in a bit. Share with me a little bit of your background, your journey, and also too for those that don't understand what NLP means.
Yes.
Enlighten us.
Yeah, for sure. So my journey, I started my career as a CPA. So fresh out of university, landed my dream job at PwC, thought I had made it. And I spent my money like I had made it. Everything, of course, was the appearance, the looks, thought I was making money, but didn't know how to manage money. And so what was quietly happening, we're talking about it on this business perspective, but it was happening to me from like a personal perspective in my corporate career. Looked the part on the outside, but behind the scenes, it was a financial hot mess.
Right.
And I didn't know how to manage money. I just knew, let's make money.
Yeah.
And what happened was I was lucky enough to find a mentor. And she's the one who she took me under her wings and taught me all the things of personal finance. Okay. And so how I got into this world was really because my own personal financial life was just a hot mess. But as I started to understand the world of money and just understanding how to manage your money. It's not just about making it. It's about building wealth. It's about what your legacy is going to lead. I just became fascinated, like literally just geeked out. And so it kind of started as this passion project for me of, going through my own journey and understanding about my own blocks and relationship with money. And then just teaching the women in my circle, just do this on the side while my corporate career was growing. And then it got to this point where I realized, it's great to be a CPA. It's, great to help this company, that company. But I just never felt fulfilled.
Sure.
It was just like, what am I doing this for? And so I quit my corporate job to start Wellthy. And when Wellthy started, it was just a personal finance coaching platform. And I was just teaching women, how to do your budget, your debt repayment plan, build wealth, savings, investments, all the things. But what was happening, we were creating these sexy plans, and 2-3 months later, it was like we never worked together.
Interesting.
These women were like back into their old habits,
right.
Back into avoidance, back into, spend, retail therapy, what feels great. And it just blowed my mind. So I had this random coffee conversation with someone, and that's how I got introduced to this whole world of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. And what put me down this road is I was just trying to understand my clients. How could they come to me, want financial change? us create the change. And then a few months later, it was almost as if the change didn't matter anymore.
Right.
Yeah. And so I was trying to understand what was going on in their mindset, what was going on just underneath what I could see physically.
Right.
But what also ended up happening in learning neurolinguistic programming and NLP, I ended up doing all the work on myself.
Sure.
And as you should,
Right, yeah.
but I didn't realize how much even, money stories and money blocks I had. And so as I was understanding and learning it, applying to myself, unearthing my blocks, doing the same with my clients, it's when I realized, there's two sides of money. There's money management and money mindset. And so many times we jump up and down and want to talk about the management part, but we don't talk about the woman behind.
Right.
Her mindset, her wiring, her childhood beliefs, what she believes is possible, what she doesn't believe is possible, because all of that impacts how she manages, impacts what she does every day. And so when I went through that journey, that's when I realized, oh no, like mindset work has to be a core component in everything I do. Like my clients can't come to me and us not do mindset.
Yeah.
Like that, I'm sorry, I'm not the right one for you if you don't want to do mindset, because it shapes everything we do with money. It shapes in our businesses how we price, how we charge, how we avoid, show up. If we grow or scale, if we stay stuck, it shapes everything. And I always say, you can't jump up and down and say you want to make more money if you don't actually know who you are with money first. Yeah.
I love that. What a good line. Ladies, did you hear that? That was a great line. So you're like, how long ago was your journey before you got into, I'm going to say, the NLP work?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've been in business, 7 years now. I didn't bring the mindset NLP work into probably till 2 years, a year or 2 years into business. So prior to that, basically, I even had no idea about my own mindset, my own money stories or anything. Yeah. Which is living.
So, it's so interesting. I was just with a client in real estate yesterday, a potential new client. So I shouldn't actually call her a client yet, but I think she's going to be a new client of mine. And we were talking about very similar, but not in the context of money, but around we all have trauma from our childhoods.
Yes.
Even if we grew up in a fantastic home where there's not a division or nothing, sexually happened or even verbal abuse, but there's still these things unintentionally that take place that have an emotional disposition that then causes a trauma, that causes a narrative, that shapes our mindset. The person I am today, the person you are today, is literally molded from everything that happened basically up to age 7.
Yes.
Right? That's where your beliefs are formed.
Yes.
And obviously then those beliefs are influenced further, but they're really developed at such a young age. And I've been doing this work myself for a long time around, your inner child, the false self. And you start seeing these patterns around do you sabotage? Are you a person that doesn't think you're worthy? You can't hold it, the feast and famine cycle. There's all these things. And, sometimes when I speak to people, it's very foreign. And, this is what I was sharing with my client yesterday, where it was actually relating to her son on something. And I just said, he's gonna discover this about himself, and you got to work through it, but you have to be willing. That's the first part. But if you don't know that you come with a narrative, that you come with a story, that you come with this mindset. And I think so many people walk around not understanding at all why they are the way they are.
Yes.
And nobody gives us permission to be you can ask yourself.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Absolutely. It's so true.
So you work with lots of women, right? Is your business only women? I should ask that. Okay.
It is, yes.
So the women that you see come through, give me a little bit of context. Are they solopreneurs? Are they serial entrepreneurs? Are they sole proprietors? What, or are they 9-to-5ers, working in corporate? Who's kind of your demographic that you work with?
Such a great question. So right now, predominantly I work with entrepreneurs.
Okay.
So not the 9-to-5ers. In terms of where they're at, it depends. They're in different stages and levels of business. I do have some solopreneur clients. I've got 7-figure clients who have like full-fledged teams. So it just depends on, where they're at. But I think that's the part that sometimes is like this misperception, or it gets kind of confused. People think, well, if you're at this, starting or solo stage of business, by the time you hit 7 figures, you'll have it figured out, and you have all your money stuff together. That's such a false lie.
Totally.
Like, I have clients at 7 figures who can barely pay themselves $20,000.
Right.
So we have to kind of also take away, I always call it like this, revenue trap, that, once you make more money, then the skies are going to open and everything's going to be great. Well, no, because just like you said, Shae, how you were conditioned between 0 to 7, that conditioning is still with you at 7 figures.
Totally.
It's still with you at 5 figures. It's still with you at multi-6 figures. And until we give ourselves, like you said, that permission to uncover who we are.
Right.
And also, I think the part of who we are, we sometimes think, oh, well, that's my story.
Yeah.
No, it's an inherited story. We don't take the time to decide what is my story and move forward in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So important. And, I also think too, just as you were saying, like, once you hit 7 figures and you've got more revenue, which also doesn't mean you have more income, right? Like your net bottom line can be nothing if you don't know how to manage your money, expenses, tax structures, like corporation entity structures, like this is all very important. But, anytime you hit a new mile marker, in some ways is ground zero, because you've never been there before. So you still have to figure out the new. Like you've hit your target, but now it's like, sure, you're going to be more equipped and you have more stamina, right? Like you've weathered enough and you've built the muscle to get to that new threshold, but it's brand new.
So true.
And what you did to get to 6 figures and what you're getting to do to 7 figures and beyond will have to change, right? In order to continue to scale on all things, like not just finances, like your team and delegation and people and marketing. Like there's all these moving parts, One of the things I wanted to ask you is, when I think of like financial numbers that every CEO, and when I say CEO in this context, I think of a woman who is self-leading herself. So not, you don't have to be a CEO, you could be working a small business or a side hustle on the side. But when I think of like 3 financial numbers that, if anybody who's listening, around financial metrics that they should be tracking or that they should be paying attention to in their business, what would you recommend that they're focusing on and why?
Such a great question. My number 1 is your profit.
Okay.
That is my number 1. I will scream this to the rooftops. Your profit is everything. And I think in this...
Can I dumb this down?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. What is profit?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Let's do that.
Let's yes, you're right.
There's enough women that they're like, they think revenue is profit, and that is not true at all. So you're here. I give you the floor.
That's true. Thank you for stopping me there. So your profit is your revenue minus your expenses. The easiest way.
Yeah.
So revenue tells you how much money's coming in.
Yeah.
Profit tells you how much money you keep.
Yeah.
After your expenses are just gone, what's left?
Right.
And I feel like in this kind of society we're living in right now, I think especially women entrepreneurs, like we're brainwashed to think that revenue is that ultimate goal of success. Right. You hit the 6, the multi-6, the 7, you've hit it. Yeah. But that doesn't tell you anything. If, like we said earlier, if you have that big revenue, but there's nothing left, I always say that you don't have a business. You just have a hobby with a sexy name. Right. And we're not here for that. Yeah. So your profit for me determines whether you actually have a business that's actually viable. Right. And we don't start businesses to be broke. No. Right?
Go 9 to 5 and get like benefits and something,
Exactly. Like we start businesses for a bigger purpose, a legacy to build wealth. Right. Well, your wealth starts with profit. Yeah. And so if you don't even have a profitable business, all those things that you thought the business was going to create, it's never going to create it. Right. So for me, the number 1 thing to track is your profit. So revenue minus expenses. How much of that after all the time and effort that you put in, how much of the money are you keeping?
Yeah. All the tears.
All the tears, yeah.
Right?
The
Don't
late
forget
nights.
the tears. Yeah. Like, yeah.
Constant tears, constant late nights.
Yeah.
How much are you keeping? And then from there, it's then another conversation of managing that profit. But that would be the first thing I would say you always want to track. Second thing, you do want to track your revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we want to make sure. Yeah, it's still important. I would say it's second, but we still want to make sure the business is growing.
Yeah.
We still want to look
proof
at
of concept.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. People want this.
Exactly. Yeah. If not, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So tracking that as well is definitely important. I said profit margin. What I should have said in there too is the dollar value of your profit margin, but also your profit margin percentage.
Yeah.
Which is your profit, so revenue minus expenses, profit, divided by your revenue. That's your profit margin percentage. So your profit divided by your revenue. That at least is going to give you like a litmus test of how much the business is keeping, just kind of on an average basis. Right. And it depends on, what type of business you have. But if you can get that number as high as possible, basically every dollar you make, that's how much you're keeping. Yeah. So just those, I would say those three numbers in general will be the three that you want to track it and keep a pulse on at least once a month, please. Yeah. Not at tax time and only at tax time when you're filing your taxes. Totally. At least once a month.
So further on that thought, I love that you said that, because I have mentioned on the podcast before that I set aside what I call my CEO day once a month. Yes. For me, it's the 15th. So it doesn't matter if it's on a Saturday, Sunday, or Tuesday. Like, that's my day. And it's an opportunity for me to work on, not in, and high level perspective, right? So this is where you're looking at finances and your bills and what's going in, what's going out. And also for me, I like doing what is my target? Like, if you have a goal of certain needles you need to move in the next 30 days at the beginning of the month, you're halfway through. So I kind of use that as an opportunity to be like, are we on track? Are we not? And so when you do your quarterly or your biannual, you're already very aware as to what's not working, what have I accomplished, why or why not, and where do you need to pivot, right? One of the things I say often, and I'm sure you do as well, is that money loves attention. It's a very needy relationship. And not needy in an annoying way. It can be in the beginning, but if you understand the energetics around money, the more attention you give to your money and the more you honor it and treat it like a relationship, right? Like, think of you and I, we just met today, and think of if I were to call you my best friend, because you're part of the source to give me all of the things I need in my life, from stability to you're my comfort, you help me get on vacations or whatever it is, right? But I only speak with you once a quarter. You'd be like, Shae is not my best friend. She's barely even a friend of mine, right? So when we start to humanize the relationship with money, that dramatically helps, I think, 100%. People to change. And then they also start they're very familiar. When you know what's going in and out and you have this relationship with your finances, right? And I believe you actually start seeing your money starting to grow.
100%.
Right? Like any normal relationship. The more time you and I hang out and spend together, the closer we get, the more laugh we have. It's like, oh my God, I got to hang out with you more. Yes. And that's how you develop a relationship.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. It's so true. I'm glad you touched on that, the personification and humanization of money. I think because we're so conditioned to see money so outside of us, far away from us, that just shift, that's just a mindset shift. It's so powerful in just creating this deeper energetic connection with money. One of the things I used to have my clients do is you'd personify money and then write a love letter to money. Just a way to really connect to money on that different, deeper level.
I don't think I've ever done that.
Oh, it's so powerful.
I mean, letters to future self, yes. Do that. And I have my letter of ask to God.
Oh, I love this.
So I've done a lot of these things, but I've never done a love letter to money. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that.
It's so powerful. And you personify it, like you said, really personify it and pour your heart out. And it's part love letter and it can morph into a forgiveness letter. Maybe you haven't been a good steward of it. Maybe you haven't spent time with it. Yeah. And so it's just you pouring that heart out to money and just almost, I call it like rekindling that relationship.
Yeah. No, I love that. And it's, and if you're going to do this, please do it pen to paper, not on typing on your computer or your iPhone, because it is scientific fact that your brain starts to shift and magic starts to happen, right? When we do pen to paper. So this is like, take out a pen, take out a journal, make your hand sore and write this letter. But even as you're talking and you know, you're like, forgiveness, I'm like, yeah. And what about like the releasing of like anger and resentment that so many people are greedy, right? Like so many people grow up and they're told, especially if you don't come from a more affluent family, that like oftentimes money is seen as bad. Yes. Right. And that it's greedy for, you know, the upper class or whatever it is. Yes. And the opportunity is available to you. Yeah. Right. But 100%. Like if you have your shoulder snubbed, again, here we go. Like it's the relationship. You have your shoulder snubbed at a person. They're never going to want to come in and hang out with you. No. Why would they want to hang out with you if you keep, you know, like snubbing them? Exactly. That's not a nice feeling. Exactly. It's like, I'm going to go where I'm like accepted and somebody wants to give me a warm hug and like have fun and laughter. Yes. Nobody wants like the anger person. No. And this is the chemistry that does or does not happen, right? 100%. With the money. I love this love letter thing. Very cool. Yeah, I've got all this stuff in my brain. I got to talk to you after the episode about something. So we talked about the 3 financial numbers, and because of the work that you do in the mindset space, I wanted to ask you, can you break it down into what are the 3 things around mindset, maybe different areas that are really important to either question, check yourself, or track?
Yeah. Ooh, that's such a great question. First things first, start with your childhood. I always say that, like how you were conditioned, especially like we already talked about those between those ages of 0 to 7, like your subconscious was just literally absorbing everything. And so if you can take a step back, and I would say 3 questions that I always say are the ones to start with. Number 1, how is your mother with money? Number 2.
Why? Break that down. Wait.
Okay.
Time out.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Do we have time for this? It's going to be a good one. Okay.
Yes. We do. And if we need to go Joe Rogan part 2, we can do that.
So here's this question is one of the most powerful ones. Okay. And all of this is, of course, just to unearth your money story, like your deepest rooted money story, because it was developed during childhood. What you saw, heard, experienced during those times literally shape how you are today with money. But how your mother was with money has a direct impact on your relationship with money. Because what we don't realize, sometimes we think money is masculine energy. Right. The making of money is masculine. Right. Money itself, abundance, is feminine. Yeah, the receiving. It's flowy. It wants to be with you. And so your relationship with your mother has a direct correlation with your relationship with money. Okay. And so if you can understand how your mother was with money, and then you can kind of do a shift to look at, well, how's your relationship with your mother? It's going to tell you a telltale sign of your relationship with money.
Interesting.
Yes.
And is that, looking at that relationship, is that in the present or when you were growing up?
When you were growing up, if you could. Yeah. Because that's where it was modeled for you, especially between the ages of 0 to 7. That's where you started to interpret what it was to have, not have, keep, spend money. All of that was interpreted during childhood. So if you can go back to how your mother was during those times, it's going to tell a lot, even just to how you're dealing with money, but also your relationship with money in detail.
Can I make up an example?
Of course you can.
Can you break it down for us?
Yeah, sure.
Because I think the generation that so many of us would have had mothers, like I'm 41. I don't know how old you are.
I'm turning 40 in 2 months.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So like
we're the same.
I'm going to say we're the same age, even though I just made you older. Sorry. But you know, most of us that kind of, and a lot of, you know, like the listeners are between 35 and 45, you know, so for argument's sake, a lot of the parents are between 65 and 80. Yeah. Moms.
Correct.
That generation typically did not work or if they did, it was still kind of taboo, right? Like it was being more common, but it wasn't normalized. Yeah. So I think of a woman who may or may not worked, probably was having kids and juggling this. I don't really want to be working, but now I feel like more women are. So I should contribute and provide. Yeah. And so a mom back then that probably would have felt like maybe making money is hard.
Yes.
And that's true. It was hard.
Yeah.
And also feeling like maybe there's not enough. And that's why like mom has to be working.
Yes.
So when you have that as a scenario, how, and obviously it's not always, but in your experience and then also combining that with your area of expertise, what could that relationship in present form look like?
What it'll typically look like, doesn't matter what type of, I'll say, work the woman is in, whether she has a job, she has a 9-to-5, her mindset is it's hard to make money. And also that money is like elusive. It will come in, but can I actually hold it?
Right.
And what that could look like is her subconsciously self-sabotaging. The money comes in and she goes and spends it. Right. Or she's in debt and she's like, well, I'm already in debt. What's another swipe on the credit card? Doesn't matter. I'll pay it off one day. And so that narrative that she saw and heard and experienced from her mother is literally living out in her life today. She thinks it's hard to make money. And when I say hard, it's almost like it can come in two lenses, that yes, it's actually hard, but also that she may feel like she has to work hard. Like she has to put in the hours, sacrifice family, sacrifice herself, like all the things just to make money, even though that's not true, but that's what she's conditioned to believe. Right. If she has this dynamic, or if she saw her mom maybe even feel like, okay, I have to go out and I have to provide for the family, it could also create almost that mindset block of, well, as a woman, maybe I can't be financially secure unless I have someone else. Right. I can't just do it all on my own. Right. Or maybe I watch my mom struggle doing it on my own. Like that's my story. You know, I was raised by a single mother, watched her struggle on her own, and just for me had this belief of, well, I'll never be able to do it on my own either. Right. So yes, it's all modeled. It's all modeled and inherited. And we don't take the time to stop and say, well, that was my mom's story. And her story is just, she inherited from her mom. 100%. And that's a whole different generation and a whole different, societal belief around women at that time. But it's just, I call it the domino effect, right? It's just these passed down beliefs. Yeah. And until we stop and stand up those dominoes, like we're the ones, I truly believe like our generation is the ones to stop the domino effect where we can stand it back up and say, yes, I inherited that. Yeah. Yes, I believed it for a while, but I'm going to leave it right here, right now. And I'm going to decide what my story is and also what's the story I want to give to my kids. Totally. Like I have a 2-year-old and I'm so conscious of what I say around her. Good. And say to her and model for her, because 0 to 7, it's like those are the times, you can make or break what our next generation believes. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Okay. So that's number 1. Yes. Oh, yes. Which was amazing. So I'm glad we paused for that. What is number 2? Well, I forgot even the question. The question is, we talked about the 3 financial metrics that every person should be tracking at least once a month. And then we went into yes. I said, can we bring this over to the mindset piece and break it down? Thank you. Yeah. I totally went on a tangent. No, it's okay. It's okay. Okay. So first things first, yes. Your childhood stories around money. Yeah. The second thing I would say is I call it like your own self stories. So what have you inherited, especially as a woman? What have you kind of laid your flag in the sand and you haven't even realized you're putting that flag in the sand around what you believe about money? Right. And whether that's, money, creating money, making money, whether it's about building a business, advancing in your career. But as women, we go through this childhood stage. Yes, we interpret and inherit beliefs. But as we grow older, we're still taking on beliefs from whether it's society, our peers, what society says about women in general around money. But we're interpreting and taking in all those things. Maybe during your adolescent years or your early 20s or 30s, you made some money mistakes or you got into some debt. Like we have already interpreted what that means for us as women.
Right.
And especially I would say, just saying that word debt, and a lot of my clients who are in debt, they reflect that back as their self-worth.
Right.
Oh, well, I'm in debt, so I'm not worthy.
Yeah.
Or I'm not making this amount in my business or this amount in my career, so I'm not worthy. And so there's also those internal money stories that you've projected back on yourself.
Yeah.
And sometimes in business, we project our money stories on our clients.
Sure.
Right? We're like, well, if I charge this, they're not going to afford it.
Right.
Who said that? That's your money story that you're projecting. So doing just kind of that internal reflection of what have I taken on that I've called my money story and taken it on as my own and believed it to be. So I would say that's the next area of exploration. And then just kind of a way to just like expand this for yourself. Another thing that I would say to do, I don't know if I'd say track, but at least do daily. One of the things I always recommend, and I do this personally, is create a money manifesto.
Okay.
And that is just like your guiding light of the vision for your life, depending on what creates the least amount of resistance. It could be just a year out, or it could be like the big grand vision for your life, whatever's going to create the least amount of resistance. But write that down on paper. Yeah. And then record it in your own voice. And if possible, record it to like the instrumental of whatever your money song is.
I love that.
Yes, because that kind of, music always shifts your energy.
Yeah.
But if it's an instrumental of like that song that like jazzes you up, it's in your voice. If you listen to that every day for 30 days, it is going to totally shift your mindset. Because a lot of the times we're so stuck in our blocks that it's hard to even connect to that future vision. Oh, yes, I want more money. Yes, I want to build wealth. I want to do this. But because we're so stuck in the blocks, it feels so far out of touch. So what the manifesto does is start to shift your subconscious identity and bring that beingness into you. Totally. You start listening to it every day. You start being the woman who has the things. And that's how it all starts.
Two things. Yeah. So one thing, as you're saying that, I want to remind people, because I've said this before on the podcast, but your brain doesn't know the difference between what is reality and what is your dream.
Yes.
And it believes what you continue to tell it over and over again.
Yes.
So that's why as you're saying this, listen to it for 30 days. And it is magic that you just start becoming. Yeah. And it's partly because your brain is co-creating with you because it does not know the difference.
Yes.
And this is part of when we hear like the woo-woo words around manifesting without really breaking down the science to match the psychology with it.
Yes.
That there is real intentional power behind it.
Yes.
And you're also hearing your own voice. This is also too why we're like, write it on paper first, not like on your laptop, right? Like all of these things together matter. So I love that even within this manifesto that it's 30 days listening to it on repeat, or even as you're going to sleep. If you don't want to listen to it, subconsciously get it really drenched in there, So I would love for you to give us an example of, it could be yours or, anybody else's, but give me an example of what a manifesto could look or sound like.
Yeah. That's such a great question. So I like to almost like picture myself living through the manifesto. So writing it in like first person, like I wake up every morning and like, what do you see? And when you're writing it, almost like visualize it at the same time. And the more clarity you can put in it, the better, right? Yeah. I wake up every morning, I walk into my dream kitchen and it looks like this, it looks like that. You're just creating that visual perspective to like solidify it even more in your subconscious. But I like to keep mine, it could be as long as or short as you want, but I like to keep mine really grounded as to like, what does like my day in a life look like? But then also what does my life look like outside of that? So when I say day in a life, how am I showing up as a CEO?
Right.
So am I starting my day and just, okay, what's on for the agenda today? Like, how am I actually starting the day? I start my day with my CEO Monday morning routine. What does that look like? I then, go into my office and I have this, set time for my client sessions, like actually like creating what that looks like in your day to day. But then also, what else do you have in your life? Whether it's the dollar amount in the bank account, whether it's the number of vacations you're taking, whether it's the partner you have, the kids you have, even current kids, future kids, like actually, what does this life look like? And then if you are an entrepreneur, what does your business look like? Like one of the things I have in mind is I even put in there like the team. Like I have team members that are fully aligned with the mission and vision of Mitworthy. Like that's important for me.
Of course.
Yeah. So even just like those perspectives of your business, who's part of your business? What is your business doing? Like, are you just doing coaching? Are you doing speaking? Are you traveling around the world? Like, what is that actual huge vision? What is like maybe your give back, your philanthropic mission? Like putting all of that in there and just literally allowing yourself to see it. Like literally see it as if you're living it today.
And quality, right? Like as you're saying all of this, like travel and children and, team and my morning routine, I'm like, put in the first class travel, like the platinum American Express credit card that you pay for your trip on with your points. Like, like to get your point, like all of these things, but they're like small things that matter and like things that feel maybe right now for women out of reach deserve to be in this description, right? 100%. Because this is how you start to magnetize. This is how you start to become. And as you were saying earlier, shifting the identity that you just wake up one day and you are her.
Yes. Right? Yes. And another thing that you just triggered this for me, team, but also clients. If there's level, like specific, I even name people in my manifesto. Like these are the clients that I work with and name them. They are like next level clients for me, but I'm putting it out there. So even just like that, like everything that you want to be and embody, throw it into your manifesto.
I love that. And is there a time limit? Like, should be 2 minutes? Is it 5 minutes? Is it 10 minutes?
I don't set a time limit. I would say whatever you think is going to create the least amount of resistance, because I do say listen to it morning and night. There was at one point, I think mine was like 15 minutes and I was like, okay, that's way too long. Let's cut this down. It was juicy, but it was way too long. So whatever that like sweet spot where okay, I could dedicate 5, 10, 15 minutes, if you can have 15 minutes, to actually listen to this religiously morning and night. And if you can throughout the day, like sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to go for a walk. I'll just throw my manifesto on as I go for a walk to like take a break for the day.
Where do you store it?
Oh, in my, like the voice notes. So that's where I record it. So voice notes on your phone, because then you always have it with you. And then I just pull up YouTube, get the instrumental to my money song. And then I'm just voice notes, YouTube's running, and good.
See, so easy.
Yeah, so easy.
I love that. No excuse zone.
No.
Right?
Exactly.
I love that. That's so good. So you do this for 30 days.
Minimum, please.
Minimum, okay? You do it for 30 days. And I would imagine you're going to start to have some shifts and breakthroughs starting to happen. When you have these mindset enlightenments, the breakthroughs, how do you feel that they directly impact profitability?
Oh, such a great question. They drive it. They drive it. Whatever your profit goal is, you have to be someone different to hit that goal.
Right.
Even if it's increased profit by 5%.
Right.
It doesn't matter. Like you have to be someone different. And everything starts with your beingness, your identity. You can never outperform your identity. So if today you're at this identity and you have this vision of this next level, the manifesto helps to bridge that gap, which is going to bridge the gap for your profitability. You can't create more money, more profit by being the version you are right now. Like it's, if you can do that, please show me how.
I love that. Yes.
I don't think there's a way, but you have to be someone different. And so just that shift in identity is going to shift your profit 100%.
Which then, and I know you speak about this a lot around building economic impact. And, maybe even some people listening, like, what does that even mean or look like for a woman to build economic impact?
Yeah, it's such a great question. I think it looks multiple ways. And when I think economic impact, I also think legacy. It's all kind of entwined for me. But that is, whether it's the economic impact of you and your family. You're shifting that narrative, but also that financial livelihood of your family. Like that's a shift in economic impact in your family. Yeah. But for me, it's also the economic impact of the ripple. Right. Whatever your business is, like whatever you do, you're impacting someone. Right. Whether you're a coach, whether you sell this table, like you're impacting someone, and that creates a shift in an economic impact. And especially if you do pour into people and you coach and you consult, whatever that is, whatever, especially let's say, I'll say it this way, because this is the example I use for my own self and how I look at it. If I help a woman create a more profitable business, her business stays in business. She doesn't shut doors. Right. She continues to actually run her business. And let's say her business impacts these 10 people, let's just say. Whatever she does, then those 10 people are impacted. Well, if those 10 people are impacted, their families are impacted. Right. Their community is impacted. Their coworkers are impacted. And then the ripple continues. If her business stays open, though, she gets to maybe hire more people. Yeah. So she gets to pour financially, economically into someone else's livelihood, which then changes their family and their trajectory. If her business stays open, she gets to maybe put her kids in a different school. Right. And that economic impact on their life and what they see as possible, who they're introduced to, their circles changing, that has ripple effects. And so that impact for me, like that's legacy. It's far beyond what our business does today. It's the ripple that we can't even see tomorrow.
And it's so important. Like, and I think, so many people, not just women, we're very short-sighted in the focusing of the now. Yes. And, you mentioned you have a 2-year-old, I have a 14-month-old, and, it's that phrase of the days are long and the years are short. Yes. And I use that as an analogy because you blink and you're like, oh my God, you're sorry, boy or girl?
A girl.
Your daughter's going to be 5, you're going to be like, how did that just happen? And so if you don't plan ahead and think about her at 5, or like I've shared on this episode before, I just took out a whole life policy on my daughter. Yes. So that when she passes away, if she lives till 70 or more, it'll be more. But I use the number of 70 years old and she has children. Yes. She will be able to pass down $7.3 million tax-free to her unborn children, my unborn grandchildren. Yes. But these conversations are super important to have because we need to be thinking not just about right now or like, oh my God, the days are so long, the years are so short. How did that just happen? Yes. Right? This is like how you actually create generational wealth and how you have a legacy that's worth, not that if you don't do anything with your life, your legacy is not worth passing down. But when you talk about economic impact, there is none if you aren't planning for it. 100%. Right? If you aren't setting yourself up structurally, and so it's not just even like your business doing well. It's like, how are you using your business as a vehicle to then create other streams, other assets, ownership, diversification, right? Like this is all really, really important to do. 100%. And so I love that, you're talking to women about this because fundamentally it's not a conversation that a lot of women are aware. And like I've had so many women reach out to me being like, what the hell is a whole life policy?
Oh my goodness.
Right? Yeah. And I'm like, and I'll give you a real example. My daughter, because she just turned 1 of my partner's sister gave us some cash for her education fund. I said, I don't believe in those. I won't be putting it into that, but I will put it towards her whole life policy. Yes. Because when she's 18 years old, there will be a bucket load of cash sitting there that she can borrow against tax-free. She doesn't have to apply for a loan. Nope. She's already approved because it's her own savings account.
It's her own money.
And if there's this thing called school kicking around that she wants to go to because it makes sense because maybe she wants to be a doctor or a lawyer, and those, type of jobs will still probably require some type of going to an institution. They're not going to be around. And so even having an education fund that you pay into every year until your kid is 17 or 18 years old, you don't even know if it's going to be applicable. And the government has all these restrictions and rules. And I'd rather donate to my bank account than the
Yes.
government, who's going to take my money, invest it, and make money off of my money. And I'm not really interested in doing that. Right. So I said no, like, and I would rather her have more money available
Yes.
there for her, that most likely she can go start her own business.
Yes.
You know, and she can be an investor in her own future. Right. So there are better vehicles to be able to use.
Yes.
And also then create tax-free shelters.
Yes.
And protect her children. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have a policy because I took one out when I was older, you know, to be able to pass that down. Like, I think my policy, you know, is somewhere around like 3.5 million. So like, that's not bad, but it's not 7.3 at 70. And if she lives till 80 or 85, it's going to be a hell of a lot more.
Yes.
Like, what a gift.
It's so true. Oh my gosh, Shae. Thank you for just sharing that, because I think that is one of get me started, because I'm also a life insurance advisor.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I didn't even know that. Yeah. That's not in your bio, Vanessa.
I know. So when you're talking this, like, I'm geeking out in the back end, like geeking out.
I love that.
I do a lot of things. I don't do as much insurance stuff anymore because Wellthy is just like takes over my time. But that strategy, like we did that for my daughter when she was 14 days old. Yeah. 14 days.
Yeah.
And we don't understand, I think, when it comes to like money, economic impact, economic power, we think it's hard. We think it's for everyone else, but it's for all of us. It's just the right strategies, knowing the strategies, and that shift in mindset, that shift in perspective. Like, what do I want the legacy to be? What do I want my kids to have? Yeah. And putting your money in the vehicles and strategies that are actually going to do that tax exempt. Yeah. Like,
totally. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And more yes to that.
and also too, you know, as food for thought for people that this could be completely new, you know, never mind at 18, like when she's 60 or 70, and she could be an entrepreneur and not have a pension plan, which I think are a really pretty box that makes people feel good. And like, you're in the trap. Yes. You're in the trap. Yeah. And there is a 9-to-5 place for certain people, and it's not to shit on 9-to-5 with benefits and blah, blah, blah. But there's also a better way that even if you're in a 9-to-5, if you invest properly, you'll make a shit ton more money than your pension plan will ever pay out, right? So you just have to know the right vehicles. And she will have so much money sitting there that she's able to borrow and against and use to live for her retirement. And then that loan gets wiped out when she passes away.
It's like,
and it's totally legal. And then she doesn't have to worry about her children because they've got all the money. You know, as long as inflation doesn't totally crumble the dollar by then.
But still,
it's going to be better than nothing.
Exactly. And it will, exactly. And the years that it's going to grow because she's so young. This is why it's so important to do this on your child. Like when they are literally
as young
a
as
baby.
Exactly. I called my guy when I was pregnant still, and I'm like, when can we sign the papers? She's not born yet. She is coming. And he's like, so 0. And I was like, yes, that's what I want. I want the $0 payment, you know? And so he's like, I love that you're thinking about that. And I'm like, yeah. And, you know, I believe that we're all doing the best that we can with the information that we had. Very true. Right. And I look at like, my parents didn't take out a policy on me. My dad was an entrepreneur. My mom worked for Air Canada. They came from, you know, immigrant families, you know, and even though my dad's side, you know, he was a doctor, but he owned plazas, Italian, blah, blah, blah. But it was limited. Like they weren't in the upper elite 1% who like developed all of these insurance structures and the tax shelters to be able to make generational wealth, you know? So like they did well, but they didn't know about this. Like my parents have policies now, but they're going to be different. And they took it out on themselves. Not on me. Right. And so, and even still, if I'm being really honest, it wasn't either of my parents that gave me this advice to go do for my daughter. This is self-taught and putting myself in the rooms with the right people and asking the right questions. Like anybody who is wealthier than you, who is more successful than you, if you ask them, what are some of the tax structures that you're doing? What are the legal? They'll tell you. Like, what do you need? And that's what I used to do when I was younger. I would ask, like, because I'm in real estate, and I would work with, you know, some of these top mortgage guys that their families were like mega wealthy. And I'm like, who's your portfolio manager? Like, can you introduce me to them?
Yeah.
I'm not going to like go online and try to find it. Like, you know, even though I'm in real estate and I work with so many different mortgage people, it was like, who's your person? Because they're making you money.
Right.
They're telling you what the financial system and the school system won't tell you.
Yes.
So like, what do I need to know? Right. And so this is like, it's so important, and it's never too late to start. It's
100%.
better than not starting at all.
Yes.
Even if your children are 18, it's still better than them getting a policy at 40 or 30 or 19.
It's so true.
Right? Like, so just start.
Just start.
Vanessa, I feel like we really could go Joe Rogan. I feel like we're just starting to like scratch the surface. But I can't keep you here all day. I do recognize that. So I know you have something great coming up in April.
Yeah.
Just share with us what that is about. And then, of course, you know, I'm sure everyone wants to connect with you. So how can they best find you?
Yes. So we're relaunching our Unblock Your Business coaching program in April. It's literally an accelerator to shift your mindset, of course. Like step into, when we talked about that CEO identity, there's a lot of NLP mindset, subconscious work to step into that identity, but then also actually managing your money and your profit. So how do you actually increase your profit in your business? Like we look at your revenue model, your pricing, we overhaul your business model so you can actually build a more sustainable and profitable business. So we are reopening our cohort in April. Okay. And then I always take on a few fractional CFO clients every year. So if you're looking for more like detailed, hands-on, every month, that person inside of your business to manage your money and increase your profit, I also have a few spots available for that as well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And how can we find you?
Oh, yes, of course. So, of course, on Instagram. So, Mitworthy Co. That's where you're going to see me hanging out most of the time and sharing a lot of content around your mindset, but also like the things you need to look for in your business to actually expand your profit, not just your revenue.
I love it. Yeah. Will you come back?
Of course.
Okay.
I know. I feel like we hardly even scratched the surface.
Literally, like we're just starting to scratch. And I'm like, oh, we have to go, guys. That's not fair. So I definitely want you to come back.
Absolutely.
But it's so great to have you on the show today. Thank you for coming and sharing your wisdom.
Thank you for having me. This is so great.
If something in today's episode resonated with you or sparked a shift, tag me on IG or send me a DM. I genuinely love hearing what lands for you. And if it spoke to you, share it or leave a quick review. It helps more women find this show and step into their own wealthy era. Until next time, lead with purpose, live with intention, and stay wealthy.